in the best interest of our people back home. All of us must do what we can in order to deliver a new down to the next generation. This is the hope we share in common. It is always my pleasure to be on your platform. And greetings to all Liberians in and out of Liberia.
Thank you, Martin. We are honored to have you. And it is a pleasure that you are not here to only see who we are and how we do it. Yeah, focus on Liberia, but you brought an entire political package for us to benefit from. What a package. And I think our people are going to love it. It's going to be hot. It's going to be juicier. I mean, you have CM Brother Robert Monsignor Pada watching. You know, you got to give him something to go with. And so let's get started. Yeah, that's the general. Let's get started here quickly, Martin. People are anxious, for the breaking news. But before the breaking news, let us know who is Martin Kollie. Martin, who are you? Tell me who you are. I want to know you today.
And the premise question is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, except for a few persons who really know who Martin Kollie is, let me explain in furtherance to that. Martin K.N.Kollie is a native-born Liberian. He hails from central Liberia, specifically Bon County, K.N.Kollie district. Martin Kollie was born in Monrovia onto the blessed union of Mr. and Ms. Kollie. I was born in a pastoral home. Let me just inform you.
That's good.
And I was born in Sinkor, May 28, 1989. So Martin Kollie grew up in the slum. I went to school in the slum in Blamo Town. Blamo Town is one of the largest slums in Lockingtown, Bourgeois Island. There where I went to primary school. I left from the Donokans Wesleyan Institute in Blamo Town and later matriculated to the Seminary Catholic School in Douala, another slum.
I know. I lived around there before.
And I graduated from the Seminary Catholic School in 2008, as the Deuce, the valedictorian. I was also the speaker of the school and the captain for the intellectual academic quizzing team. I left the Seminary Catholic School. I chose to advance myself. So I sought admission at the University of Liberia, where I studied economics major and political science minor. I recently graduated in 2019, December 11 to be specific. So Martin Kollie is just a common Liberian, a patriot, a young patriot, an activist, a columnist, as well as an emerging economist who is more concerned about the deeper. That's some of who Martin Kollie is.
All right, Martin, that is, I think, a well concise little bio about you. We appreciate that. And so, folks, those of you who have been reading Martin's work or writing, who have been listening to him, down that he's from the slum. And he's just like you. And I don't know if I'll make somebody angry if I said this. He's not a Nwabudike. He's a native born of the soil. Hey, I'm just trying to juice it up. So, Martin, let's get started. We brought you in for you to talk about who gave us Nwabudike as a country and to also talk about access recovery. But you told me just about the time to start the broadcast that you got some breaking news. What is that breaking news? Lay it on us.
Thank you. See, during these times of tragedy, health tragedy, it is important for our government to demonstrate honesty, patriotism, and sincerity to the people of Liberia. Because regardless of how high or low the crisis is, preparedness and awareness are key elements to reduce the height of panic and fear, especially amongst the people. Just 2 days ago, the director of the National Public Health Institute, Dr. Mosoka Fala, announced 3 new confirmed cases, but he didn't call the names of those cases. He didn't call the name of those cases like he did for other cases, like in the case of the former director the general of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, Nathaniel Blama. His name was called. His chef name was called. The name of the lady who got infected lately was called. But why is he not calling the names of the 3 new confirmed cases? You know, this has created public doubts and suspicion. To my utmost surprise, you know, usually where I sit, a lot of people share information with me. This is a credible information from an inside source, an unimpeachable, reliable, and authentic source within the National Public Health Institute of Liberia. Reason why Dr. Mosoka Fallah hasn't called or will not call those 3 confirmed cases, the names of those 3 confirmed cases, is because Fatou, you are aware of Fatou, right? I broke that news. President Weah invited his quote-unquote special friend about 3 weeks ago to the country from Germany, considering the fact that Germany is a half zone. This was the same president who proclaimed to the nation that we should not accept travelers from countries that have more than 200 cases. That was a public proclamation. But the president broke his own public proclamation by inviting his quote-unquote special friend from Germany to Liberia. So this special friend, you know, has come down with the virus, according to the information I have received. And because she has interacted with the president on several occasions, the president is now placed on surveillance by health authorities of Liberia. So this is the breaking news. Fatou has been declared positive, COVID-19 positive patient, you know, and because of her constant interaction with the president is also declared a suspect of the virus. He's also on surveillance. He's also on surveillance, being monitored by health authorities from the Ministry of Health as well as the National Public Health Institute. So this is scary for our country. Why are they not calling the names of those other confirmed cases, those 3 confirmed cases? Why are they hiding the names? There's nothing here to hide. There should be no sacred cows here. There should be no sacred cow in our collective work against this virus. This is a global pandemic. World leaders, their names were called when they came down with the virus. There's nothing shameful about calling your name when you come down with the virus. This virus doesn't know status.
No.
This virus doesn't care about whether you are president or you are not a president. The virus doesn't care about whether you are a representative, whether you have a connect with the president or not. The virus is blind. The virus doesn't see.
It does not discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't segregate. So whenever a big shot, quote unquote, is infected with the virus, the best thing to do is to allow the public to know. You cannot leave the public in doubt by just saying we have 3 new confirmed cases. Who are the 3 new confirmed cases? What are their names? Why are you hiding their names, Mr. Mosoka Fallah? It is against the canon of the medical profession to do that, especially in the midst of global health pandemic. This is an emergency we are in. So to hide basic information from the people, I think it is unfair. It goes against the very prescribed health protocols set forth by the government and health authorities of Liberia. It undermines the independence of the health sector, especially those who are at the front line fighting this pandemic so that Liberians and Liberia can be saved. So this is the breaking news. President Weah has been placed on surveillance. His special friend Fatou Shim, who is a resident of Munich, Germany, who came to Liberia on the invitation of the president, has been declared a patient of COVID-19. And this poses danger to our communities. This poses danger to the security and health of our people, because I warned them. You can recall, see, I warned them 2 weeks ago. I said Fatou must be placed on a compulsory quarantine. They wrote me back and said Fatou is on a private personal quarantine. How is that possible?
And Martin, as you can see on the screen, this was Fatou when she boarded a flight in Germany heading to Liberia. And it may interest you that when Fatou arrived, after you raised the issue, we fortunately had Deputy Presidential Press Secretary Smith Toby here at this network focused on Liberia, and I pressed him, and he denied that Fatou had not come in contact with the president whatsoever. And you know, I asked him to what's about Blama. He said no, the president did not come in contact with Blama. The president did not come in contact with Fatu whatsoever, and to be hearing that Fatu is one of those persons to be the 3 new confirmed cases. I mean, this is scary, and that the president is more than quarantine or self-quarantine. It's sad. The honor man, like the president, like you said, is undermining his own proclamation, thereby further putting our people at risk. So folks, as you can hear from Mountain, that is the breaking news, the 3 new confirmed cases in Liberia. One of such person is, one of those person is Fatu, who is a special friend to the president. The lady, knowing that she's in one of the hard zone of this deadly virus, traveled to Liberia, and she was picked up at the airport by K.N.Kollie. I can find the picture quickly and share it on the Facebook page here for you people to see. And she also posted that, and she wrote about it on Facebook that she was being picked up by K.N.Kollie. You can't raise the life of the people like that. And so that is the breaking news for you. And Martin, conclude on that so we can go to the other segment of our show.
So basically, I would just like to encourage all Liberians, because the situation is scary and dangerous. It poses security risks as well as health risks to the country and the people of the country. All Liberians need to step up prevention and precaution, because the only cure, in my opinion, for this particular epidemic is prevention.
Yep.
Stay home, observe social distancing. That's why we continue to educate, inform our people about how precious life is, because this virus takes away lives. It has taken away lives. And one of my intent or motive is for no Liberian absolutely to fall prey to this life-threatening disease. That's one of my intents or one of my motives. As a way of achieving this, the government must be willing to demonstrate leadership. As it stands, the government has been managing this health crisis recklessly, very recklessly, putting the lives of the people at risk. Fatu came to the country. Why didn't you quarantine her? But you are quarantining other people, putting them on a compulsory quarantine, but you allow Fatu to escape health protocols, including compulsory quarantine. She went all in the public, interacted with people, came in contact with people. Finally, she has been declared a patient of the virus. So how do we trace all of those people Fatu came in contact with, including the president and his special aide as well? So I think they have put the country's health at risk, and this is a cause for concern, for alarm. Everyone in the country now needs to be careful who they interact with, how they interact with who they interact with. It's very important, and they need to observe all of the necessary health protocols and rules of engagement in order to save their lives and the lives of their families. This is my only caution as an activist.
Thank you, Martin. K.N.Kollie there, breaking down the news about 3 additional cases being reported into the country. And he's saying he got very credible information from some health authorities in the country that those 3 persons, a lady who is known to be Fatu, a special friend to the president, is one of those. But I mean, guess what? Why are they not disclosing the name of this person who having to be the 3 new cases being reported? Here in America, even I think it's Senator Rand Paul, contracted the virus. His name was put out there. Venture journalist with CNN, Chris Como, he contracted the virus. Leaders around the world who are getting the virus, celebrities, the people are calling their name because there's a reason people disclosing their names so that they themselves can know and self-quarantine, and so their family member and other people can stay away. Then contact tracing can all start. But we'll leave it there. That is the breaking news. Let's go to our main topic for the day. So Mountain, getting started with our main topic here, talking about Nwabudike. So the question is, who all got us Nwabudike? We all know the story, how he told us story that seems to be, we are sure now that it's not true. So how did we get Nwabudike? Who gave us the Nwabudike? Is it the president who gave us Nwabudike? Is it the Senate that gave us Nwabudike or our whole judicial system?
You see, let me premise on the fact that our system in Liberia is not only weak, but those who preside over the system are also weak. So the system is weak, and those presiding over the weak system are also weak. Nwabudike, right?
Yeah.
Nwabudike, Nubusi, right?
Yeah.
As he calls himself. He has survived in fraud for 40 years. He has survived in this fraud for 40 years. You're talking about 4 decades. Somebody has been surviving in fraud all through. Almost all of the positions he served, almost all of the titles he ever got, because I don't want to use the word earn, he didn't earn them. Because doing so through fraudulent means it cannot be described as earn. All of the fraudulent titles he ever got, he got them through clandestine means. It is unfortunate that our system could not checkmate him sooner. It is now that we are checkmating him. It is now that we have discovered that this is a criminal of a lawyer, which is unfortunate. In my opinion, see, in that country, under President Weah, we only have one branch of government. Only one branch of government, and that is the executive. The executive is domineering. You have a rubber-stamp legislature and a compromised judiciary. And I have no regret to say what I'm saying. And I will justify why I'm saying what I'm saying. Now, who is responsible for this Nwabudike, right? Let us look at it from this angle. The question I want to ask is this the first time for Nwabudike to undergo confirmation hearing? The answer is no. The answer is no. This is the third time, see it, for this criminal of a lawyer who calls himself Dubuzi to undergo confirmation hearing. The first time he ever went to the Liberian Senate for confirmation hearing was when he was appointed as the executive director for the Good Governance Commission. The second time was when he was recently appointed by President Weah as the executive chairperson of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, LACC. And again, President Weah has appointed him as the chairman of. Let's go to the judiciary. Before you practice law in Liberia, according to the judicial canon, before anyone practices law in Liberia, he or she should be or must be a Liberian citizen. That is the canon of the judiciary. That's the rule of the judiciary. Before you practice law, you must be a Liberian by birth, or you must be a Liberian by naturalization. So this Dubuzi told the Supreme Court before he was licensed, he took oath that he was a naturalized Liberian. He lied on the oath, and he was licensed by the Supreme Court. Let's go to the Liberian National Bar Association. Before you become a member of the Bar Association of Liberia, under the leadership of Councillor Teron Gonglo now and other past leaderships, you must be a Liberian, either by birth or by naturalization. This criminal of a lawyer is also a member of the Liberia National Bar Association. How come? How wasn't he checkmated at the level of the Supreme Court? How wasn't this fraud detected at the level of the Liberia National Bar Association, at the level of the Liberian Senate, at the level of the executive? So he surpassed all of these branches of government and got his way through. He sneaked his way through. Yeah, in case we're not going to press on his citizenship and raise serious sensitive debates relative to the controversies surrounding his citizenship. We're not going to arrive at this point. We were not going to arrive at this point. But the real fact is, this is not a disgrace for Dubuzi as people think. This is a disgrace for President Weah and our national leaders. This tells you the extent at which our system is vulnerable. Here is a guy that has faked his citizenship all through 40 years. 40 years. He has been informing almost every stratum, every level of our society that he is a naturalized Liberian. He has made people to believe that. He has made even non-citizens to believe that, because he has served in the private sector as well as the public sector. This Dubuzi has served as special investigator, right? I just want to name a few of his positions before I start dealing with the fraud, because this is a whole syndicate that we must dismantle and deconstruct. And I have modeled 3 different tests from 10 different contexts to deal with Dubuzi this evening, right?
Yeah.
But before going to that, it is important to say that he has gotten through all of these systems. He has bypassed all of these systems, right? Because he served as special investigator of a presidential committee to investigate the global witness scandal involving the National Oil Company of Liberia. He was one of the special investigators. He was also a special investigator to investigate the misappropriation and misapplication of donors' funds in the agricultural sector. He became executive director of good governance. He became executive chairperson, LACC. He became member of the Liberian National Bar Association. He became a licensed lawyer of the Supreme Court of Liberia, having all rights to practice in any court of competent jurisdiction across the republic.
So
So
Martin,
you see how he defrauded the state?
I've seen that. Let me ask you a few questions and let's get a little conversation on here. And I'm glad how you lay it out for our audience to see the path of Nwabudike walking his way through our system in a very fraudulent means, as we have come to know now. So the bigger question is, who gave us this Nwabudike? Is it Nwabudike himself? Is it the court? Is it the president? Because long before he could start learning all these appointments from the executive, he first became a lawyer. So had the judicial system done the proper vetting required to certify any lawyer to practice in our courts, we will not have a Nwabudike. So others are arguing that, hey, we would not have had a Nwabudike if we had a court system that have vetted this man, and we would not have a Nwabudike problem. So will you put this blame of Nwabudike on our courts, on the president or the Senate?
I basically put the blame on all 3 branches.
Why?
No one is blame free here. See, let me say why no one is blame free.
Okay.
The court has its blame, the legislature has its blame, as well as the executive, because Nwabudike worked or is working in all 3 branches, right? Because the first thing is, like you said, the Supreme Court did not do any form of due diligence. And this is not the only case. There may be other cases. There may be other criminals, like Dubuzi, Nwabudike. There may be other criminals like him because of the weakness of our system, the polarization of our system. Our system is very vulnerable. From the balcony of the executive marshal to the rotunda of the legislature to the floor of the Supreme Court, our system is very vulnerable. So I blame the judiciary, because it was the judiciary who licensed him as a practicing lawyer in Liberia. So the judiciary gave him this prestige, this legal status for the executive and the legislature to trust him as well. So that's why a lot of people are arguing, if the Supreme Court can say this man is a qualified lawyer, then it means that the legislature should not have any problem with confirming him. That's their line of argument, but that's a poor line of argument. Because if we didn't catch a thief yesterday, it doesn't mean we cannot catch the thief now, especially when we just discovered that he's a thief. It doesn't justify his action yesterday and even today. So my point is, just by the judiciary, just by the Supreme Court lessening this criminal of a lawyer, it means that the credibility of the Supreme Court is at stake. I don't know how they do their vetting. I don't know the processes and procedures they go through to vet one before practicing law in Liberia. But I think the system is weak, and Dubusi has gotten his way through. He has gotten his way through. Let's go to the legislature, for example. I just told you that this bare fellow of the lawyer was confirmed 2 different times by the very same Senate that is acting technical today. This very same Senate that is acting technical confirmed Dubusi. They didn't checkmate his citizenship, the controversies around his citizenship. They didn't. They didn't care about asking the hard questions. In fact, initially, they were not even asking the hard questions when President Weah appointed this man as chairman of the National Elections Commission. We had to come in to begin asking the hard questions. We had to come in. I can remember on one of my podcasts, I asked 20 different questions about his citizenship. People were only concerned about, oh, we don't need to be here for xenophobic. What do you call xenophobia or being xenophobic? Somebody is criminally defrauding the state and claiming to be a Liberian citizen when he is not. Then you call that xenophobia because we have exposed him to that extent? Who does that in Nigeria? Who does that in Guinea? Who does that in Africa and other countries around us here? Nobody does that. So people take advantage of the weakness of our system to get their way through hook or crook. And this has been happening for a very long time. Like I said, Dubusi is not the only person that is defrauding our system. There are a lot of hardcore con artists who continue to defraud our system. Dubusi is just one of the cases.
And Martin, if we can bring the executive into, you just dealt with the court or the temple of justice or our judicial system. You came to the national legislature, how they got managed to slip through their hands. And then let's come to the president. And the angle I want us to take it from is that CDC, we all know who the big names are in the CDC. Not a single one of them has been appointed by President Weah 2 times. Not a single one. Not 12. There are some big names that are yet to even let appointment in a CDC government. Right. And we know these people. These people fought in the political wilderness to bring CDC to power. President Weah does not want to even say hi to any of them. But in no time, Nwabudike is the darling of this government. Even the chairman, Mamba Molu, does not have a job in the government. All right. So where is Nwabudike coming on? So the question is, who is this Nwabudike? That man must have some special skills that maybe I don't know, you know, to be learning all these appointments from President Weah. He appointed him to investigate the issue of NOCA you talk about, good governance, and then LACC, and then
now NEC.
NEC. So what is it going on between this guy and President Weah that we don't know, that you may know?
Quite frankly, CA, I want to be very blunt on your platform because a lot of people are following. Mm-hmm. The government of President Weah has transitioned into a criminal enterprise. President Weah likes to surround himself with criminals. I want to be very clear about this. I'm going to name a number of criminals around President Weah. He likes criminal. Dubusi Nwabudike is a criminal. So he likes criminal. And the only reason, are you aware that Dubusi has been the personal lawyer of President Weah for years?
Has he?
Of course, he has been a personal lawyer. Let me just reveal this information. Dubusi has been the personal lawyer of President Weah. You can remember during 2017 election when Councillor Bronski of the Liberty Party filed a lawsuit against the National Elections Commission for fraud, malfeasance, and electoral malpractices, right? Mm-hmm. Dubusi, along with the current Justice Minister, Musa Dean, were the legal counsel of the National Elections Commission and CDC against the Liberty Party. I just want to provide this information. So he has been a long-time buddy, a long-time henchman, con-artist of President Weah's inner cycle. So President Weah trusts him because he is good at implementing criminal and clandestine deeds. That's the only link between the two of them. They are partners in crime. They are partners in crime. Look at the advisors of the president, for example. Look at Emmanuel Shaw. Emmanuel Shaw is a high court criminal, international criminal, like Dubusi. Look at Charles Bright, economic advisor, criminal. Look at Esquadra Bernard, legal advisor. So just analyze the advisors, senior advisors around the president. Look at people who are advising the president, Nathaniel McGill. Nathaniel McGill is a petty rascal. Look at Jefferson Kochi Moba Molu. Moba Molu told you he met Barack Obama in Ghana on Jeff for 4 seconds in the hallway. So look at people around the president. Just look at them, analyze them, who they are. Do they have any moral value?
Martin.
Are they men and women of integrity?
Martin.
So the only link between President Weah, come again?
No, I was just about to push back here, and you're using some tough words here. I mean, the president advisors in your words are criminals. What proof do you have for Emmanuel Shaw being a criminal? What proof do you have for Charles Brown being a criminal? What proof do you have McGill being a petty rascal? And what proof do you have about other advisors, for you to come to the conclusion that they are criminals?
Our birds of the same feathers flock together. And if you look at what is happening now, because advisors should be there to give pieces of advice, good pieces of advice. But look at what the president is doing. Look at how the president is leading the country. Look at how they are more concerned about themselves and not the people. All of them are more concerned about building private properties, estates, and mansions at the expense of the people in less than 6-7 months. All of them. So my point is, Emmanuel Shaw, for example, Emmanuel Shaw sold the aeroplane of the Republic of Liberia. He's on record for selling the plane of Liberia, right? Look at Dubusi, for example. Dubusi has been exposed. He lied about his status as a quote-unquote naturalized citizen of Liberia. Look at Nathaniel McGill. Nathaniel McGill has been involved in too many scandals. Look at the revelation made by the chairman of CDC that when President Weah goes out, whenever he collects money in the interest of the country, he diverts such money to his personal account. He uses the presidency to exploit young women. I was not saying that. Moba Molu was saying that on a leaked tape. So the entire government is a criminal enterprise.
Martin.
Group of people in government very exploitative. There are too many revelations and there are too many scandals. Look at the scandal of the 16 billion. Look at the scandal of the 25 US million intended for mop-up exercise. President Weah came to power in less than 8 months. The net foreign reserve of Liberia dropped from 152 million to 21 million. Look at the NHA case, the NHA scandal. Look at the gas scandal. There are too many scandals under President Weah. They cannot account for donors' money. The donors had to ask them to restitute their fund in a consolidated account. Look at the scandal with the World Bank asking Tway and others to account for 3.2 million of the balanced Ebola fund. You want me to outline the scandals and tell you how criminal this government is? And
Martin, who will you tell us Mr. Samuel Tway is? Some people know Mr. Tway to be a decent man, an economist who is doing everything possible to resuscitate the economy, for the economy to start growing again. He's one of the close confidants of the president. And then also Bay Twawe, and these are the people that are in the circle of the president. Will you consider them or put them in that same category?
I'm telling you, Mr. C, that all of them, the Weah government is a whole syndicate. It is a whole syndicate of hardcore crooks and petty rascals. It's a whole syndicate. They did not come to serve. They did not come to serve. They came to steal. And that's the reality. That's the high core reality.
And what has 12 done? What has 12 done to deserve this kind of?
Twelve was entrusted because 12 is the head of the EMT, the economic management team. The economic management team under the supervision of Weah was entrusted with US $25 million to mop up excess liquidity of Liberian dollars from the market so that we create stability between the local currency and the foreign currency. What did Weah do with the $25 million? Up to now, there is no accountability. I wrote Mr. Weah a formal letter. In that letter, I asked Mr. Weah to produce the list of those sour money exchangers he distributed the $25 million to. Up to now, I have not received any reply. And my letter was based on the 2010 Freedom of Information Act. I wrote Mr. Weah to account for the $25 million. Up to now, he cannot produce the list of those who received the $25 million, which was intended for the mop up of excess liquidity of Liberian dollars from the Liberian market. So Weah is a criminal. And let me say this. Let's go to the National Port Authority. Are you aware now that the National Port Authority is the source of funding of the CDC? Nwabudike Jr. built power. Built power calls himself Nwabudike Jr. Can you imagine? A man older than George Weah calling himself Jr. He has sown his birthright for little or nothing simply because he was appointed by the president. Everywhere built power when he failed. He was executive director for the Liberia Institute of Public Administration. He failed. He was representative for 6 years, district number 4. The people booted him out because he failed them. He was the principal of an elementary school. The school broke down. Is this the same Bill you took and put him over the gateway to Liberia's economy? Are you serious about change? So all of them are criminals. All of them are criminals. And the people are the victims of such criminality.
All right.
You know, it is unfortunate that they just came to steal and not to serve. But one thing I have to say to all of them,
right?
One thing I have to say to all of them, they will account for their service in government tomorrow. One day, Liberia will have a serious-minded government, patriotic government, government that is willing to serve, government that is honest, government that believes in the values and tenets of accountability, transparency, and openness. We will have that government very soon. And when that government comes, all of them will be persecuted for what they are doing to the Liberian people, for the looting, for the ripping of our resources, for the depletion of our net foreign reserve, for the unaccountability of the missing 16 billion, as well as funds that are for donors. They will account for their action today in government. They will account tomorrow. There is coming a time.
All right. Again, folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony Sie. Yeah, at this network, we educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia. Our guest in studio today is student activist Martin K.N.Kollie, and we are discussing who gave us Nwabudike. And later on during the broadcast, we will be going to asset recovery. Asset recovery because Nwabudike, as the current head of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, should be the one to be fighting the devil in our society, corruption. Nwabudike is your guy. So what has he been up to? We heard about another team put together by the president called Harriet, the asset recovery team. We heard about a guy called Arthur Johnson, who was talking tough. We heard about another guy called Serena Cephas, talking tough. This guy asked for millions of dollars to recover Liberia's stolen money. Have they been able to recover a dime? What is happening next door in Sierra Leone? Sierra Leone has a similar anti-graft institution. Has that institution in Sierra Leone been able to recover a dime? And has it been reported? Martin will break that all down for you. But before we do, I got a few tough questions for him. The last time I was listening to Martin, he described the president communication to the Liberian people as nothing but populist rhetorics. He's going to answer that. What does he mean by that? I don't like that language, Martin. And Martin also said President Weah has failed. President Weah has been in power for a little over 2 years now. He got some time. He got some time under his belt, but Martin is calling a shot that it's over for him that President Weah has failed. What made him to think that? And he also described the CDC, the Mountain Congress for Democratic Change, as a failed project. What does he mean by that? He will answer that question until he leaves. So Martin, starting with your language about the president who communicates in simple terms to his people using nothing but popular rhetorics. What do you mean by popular rhetorics? President Weah even just make a song about the coronavirus, and it's meaningful. So where you coming from with the popular rhetoric thing?
See, for me, I am a blunt guy. I like to say it as it is. Quite frankly, the president, the political leader of the CDC, he actually mistook the executive mansion for a stadium. In 2017, we warned our people to be very cautious and conscious of the fact that the decision they were going to take at that time, who had impacted their lives either positively or negatively. Our people could not listen to us because they were mesmerized on the basis of three factors. And populist rhetoric is just one of them. You know why President Weah won the election? Due to three factors. The other day I provided those three factors, and I want to restate them. Number one, populist rhetoric. Populist rhetoric in the context of politics is when someone uses his popularity to adduce or induce voters to him or his political party. So what the President Weah used, he used his football popularity. You know, a lot of people in our country, they are admirers of the sport, football, soccer. So because President Weah won a lot of accolades, a lot of titles, a lot of awards in the arena of football, so they saw him, they saw him as the best option because he represented the country out there. He was world best, he was African best, he was European best, and he made the country proud to some extent. He made Africa proud as well. So the people thought that by electing him as president, he who had made them proud, since in fact he was from the slum. So he used his popularity from that line or that angle to convince voters, including undecided voters, to justify to them why he will perform if he becomes president. But the people did not know that there was a difference between the football field and the executive mansion. Performance on the football field is different from performance in the executive mansion. On the football field, you have 22 players. Executive mansion, the president is the CRC, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Liberia. He's the chief executive officer who takes decision in the best interest of the country. But the first thing is President Weah does not know what to do. This is a president who has zero knowledge in governance and leadership. Even those who are around him do not know what to do. The president does not know what to do. Those he has appointed as advisors, ministers, directors, managing directors and so forth, they do not know what to do. So the government is clueless. So President Weah came to power based on populist rhetoric. That's number one. He also came to power based on what I call political pageantry. Political pageantry. All people care about was to follow this CDC, that had been in the opposition for 12 years. They needed CDC by all costs. So they were celebrating a CDC because they wanted CDC in power. They didn't care about whether CDC had bad leaders or bad candidates. All they care about, it was time for the Unity Party to be retired. That was their ultimate goal, to retire the Unity Party, because they have suffered under the Unity Party for 12 years. So even if CDC had even quote unquote, maybe a third grade student on their ticket, they will still vote for the third grade student because they made up their mind that this was CDC's time. It was time for the Unity Party to go after 12 years of misrule. So one of the factors is political pageantry. Another factor that made President Weah to win, Anthony C, is what I call political maneuvering and imposition by Madam Sirleaf. Madam Sirleaf imposed him on us. Who told you President Weah won 14 counties out of 15? That's a myth. That is the greatest fallacy that has been told in the 21st century. For anyone to convince us, as rational as we are, as reasonable as we are, and very conscious that President Weah, this president who could not even win 23% first round, can he be described a popular president?
Mountain.
The president didn't get up to 70% of the people's vote.
Mountain.
He's not a popular president. So President Sirleaf imposed President Weah on us because probably she didn't want her vice president to become president. How her vice president become president, maybe he knows a lot of her deals. She would have been prosecuted. President Weah promised President Sirleaf a lot. Number one, not to establish the Truth and Reconciliation, not to establish the War Crimes Court, not to establish the Economic Crimes Court. He promised her not to prosecute any member of her family. So that's the deal between he and President Sirleaf. That was why she imposed him on us.
Martin,
So he won based on 3 factors.
You just said something that are contrary to the numbers that we have at the National Election Commission. President Weah won the election a little over 60%. And
no, I'm talking about the first round. I'm saying first round, he didn't get up to 23% of the votes.
Yeah, but then after the first round, people changed their mind and decided who to vote for, because as you well know, Unity Party was in power by then for 12 years, and Liberians felt that there was time for change, and the fact that there were Unity Party and another party, which happened to be the CDC, change met CDC, and so they went for the CDC. So to say that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf cooked the election for Georgia, I don't know. The numbers doesn't. The numbers don't say that.
No, the number does. The number does. You know why the number does?
No.
Now, here's my justification. I just told you that the Liberty Party had to take the National Elections Commission to court, right? When the Liberty Party took the National Elections Commission to court, what was the reason? Fraud, electoral fraud, and malpractices. All right. When the case was adjudicated, by the Supreme Court, what did the Supreme Court verdict say? The Supreme Court verdict said, though there have been frauds and malpractices observed, but these frauds and malpractices observed are not enough to annul or to cancel the result. Are you hearing the Supreme Court?
I'm hearing the Supreme Court. So, Martin, if you look at it quite clearly, that means the irregularity, whatever language anybody can use it, were not substantive enough to undo the election. So the Supreme Court gave the go-ahead for the Election Commission to certify the result. President Weah is president. So let's focus on what is President Weah doing that. Hold on, Martin. You are saying that President Weah has failed. And I want to give you some things that President Weah have done to others that point to the fact that he is not a failure and that he is not even failing. Let's talk about Claratown. President Weah carried a project in Claratown to help the people in that slum community, all right, to give their homes there a facelift. Point 4, President Weah has constructed houses there for people who fell victim to fire. In Grand Crew, his hometown, President Weah is carrying on a housing project. We are told about numerous community roles. So to say that President Weah has already failed, are we not hearing something different from what you're hearing?
Quite frankly, this is a very common logic.
Okay.
I want to reference. For example, Mr. C.
Yes.
If you have a kid and you send your kid to school, pay the tuition of your kid is in 12th grade, for example, and you pay the entire tuition for the year. And to pass in the school requires 70%. You know, to pass requires 70%, and your kid made 10%. Is that not failure?
It's a failure. It's a failure.
So my point is, you talk about Claratown. Let me deal with Claratown. What did the president say about Claratown, about this Gibraltar? In the first place, the president was not doing any form of gesture for the people of Claratown. Those were our taxes. The president initially said it was his own money. When we pressed the president further, because I can remember I wrote an article about the re-roofing of those zinc shacks in Claratown. That's where the president came from. The president played for millions of dollars in Europe. He didn't think about re-roofing those zinc shacks until he became president. He took some money from our covers and decided to re-roof those zinc shacks. Later on, he misled the public that the money was his money until we found out that the money came from the consolidated account of our country. So he didn't do favor for those people in Claratown. More besides, I argue with the president that to re-roof zinc shacks, those zinc shacks are already falling apart. Why can't we build new homes to relocate our people from Claratown? Look at the condition of people are living in Claratown, for example. They do not have access to safe drinking water. They do not have access to improved sanitation, better housing facility, quality education, improved health care. They do not have access to basic social amenities or utilities. I have suggested, and I will continue to suggest to the president, instead of re-roofing zinc shacks, which is not sustainable and concrete, why can't we focus on sustainable projects? You know, in economics, you have quick impact projects right? And you have a low impact project. What the president did was quick impact. Quick impact is not sustainable, it's not concrete. It is just for a while. It is just for a while. But if we invest in real impact, which is more sustainable and our people, and this has been my point. So the money used in Clarota, they said 1.1 million. A few in shops. 1.1 million. Can you imagine? So I don't want you to even count that in the sources or the successes of the president. No.
All right, Martin. Then Martin, let do this. Let us not lose track a little bit. Let focus also on the issue of assets recovery, which is another major topic I want you to touch on here, for us to touch on here. We already have LACC. I've heard people in political quarters questioning the rationale behind having an anti-graft institution at LACC being headed by a Nwabudike. And then you came up with the Ariat headed by Serena Cephas. And then they asked for millions and you threw thousands, hundreds of thousands of US dollars at these guys to go and recover. So first of all, can we know, is there any public record that we can point to from the level of LACC about money that has been recovered before talking about Ariat, which Arthur Johnson resigned from? Tell us something.
Quite frankly, it will interest you to know that corruption has won the war against the Weah-led government. And I'm going to tell you why. This entire Ariat is a duplication. It's a replication of office. You have 7 anti-graft institutions in the country. What do you need Ariat for? You're talking about 7 anti-graft statutory institutions in the country that are responsible to fight corruption and economic sabotage. Why do you need Ariat, Mr. C? Let me name those anti-graft institutions. LACC. You have the General Auditing Commission. You have the Public Procurement Concession Commission. You have the Internal Audit Authority. You have the Liberia Extractive Industrial Transparency Initiative, LETI. You have the Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU. You have the Good Governance Commission. These are 7 anti-graft institutions that were created and established by law to fight corruption and public graft. You leave these institutions and go and create another thing called Ariat. Ariat is a failure, just to waste money, just to duplicate functions, just to create a scene of political mimicking and undermine the very structures that were created by law. So Ariat has already failed. And let me say this. Arthur Johnson, the councillor who was once respected, has also impugned his reputation. Arthur Johnson is a very smart guy. When he was going to Ariat, I warned him. I said, Mr. Johnson, you have integrity as a young lawyer, maintain that integrity. To allow Serena Cephas, a criminal of the Solicitor General, to entice you with little or nothing. How much is the money? Less than 200,000 they gave them to recover stolen assets. They didn't recover a dime. They must also account for that money. Arthur Johnson and Serena Cephas must account. So the Assets Investigation, Restitution, and Recovery Team, Ariat, did not do anything at all. They solicited money from the government in the tune of around 200,000 United States dollars. They cannot show you a single asset they recover, both monetary and non-monetary. They cannot show you. Let was LACC on Dubusi. Let me say this. The first mistake Arthur Johnson made, Mr. C. You know, there are 2 legal doctrines I want to point to. Though I'm not a lawyer, but there are 2 legal doctrines I want to point to. The first doctrine is the doctrine of de facto. There's a doctrine in law called de facto. When you talk about de facto, you describe practices that exist in reality, even though they are not officially recognized by law. That's what we call de facto. And there's another doctrine called de jure. De jure is by law. Anything that is established by law, de jure. So the opposite of de jure is de facto. Before Arthur Johnson could even be appointed as head of Harriet, I warned Brother Johnson, a very smart brother, I must admit. I warned Brother Johnson. I said, you will get yourself entrapped amongst the petty crooks and rascals. They want to mutilate your character. But he went into it. Before he could be appointed, Serena Sifos at that time was not Solicitor General. So Serena Sifos had no right to even appoint him. Serena Sifos became confirmed in June 2019. The asset recovery team started operating before June. So it was illegal for them to have even operated when Serena Sifos was not even confirmed. So Arthur Johnson and Serena Sifos violated the doctrine of de jure. They violated the doctrine of de jure. That the first thing, it was illegal for them to have even started operating without them being confirmed by the Liberian Senate, which is prescribed by law according to Article 54 of the 1986 Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. So in the first place, their initial operation was illegal. Secondly, look at the money they were calling for to recover assets, 2.1 million. The country already broke. No money to pay civil servants. You're calling for 2.1 million to recover assets that are yet unknown. They said they will recover 4.6 billion. So the government should get in 2.1 billion. Where 2.1 billion coming from? To recover 4.6 billion. The first news they broke up, Mr. C, they said, 4.6 billion was stolen on Ellen Johnson said it. President Weah believe it. My girl believe it. That was only meant. That was only intended to sensationalize, to deceive President Weah and his followers that yes, indeed, ARIA is working and ARIA has the legal and intellectual or professional capacity to track stolen assets and recover them. Where are the assets? The head of ARIA had to resign. Arthur Johnson, the very same thing I told him. He got himself messed up with a group of hardcore criminals. So his character now has been brought to public disrepute. When he was resigning, listen to what he said. I just want to quote him when in his resignation letter. Listen to what he said, Mr. C, the head of ARIA. He said, I am so constrained to tender in my resignation from the position of chairman of the Assets Investigation, Restitution, and Recovery Team, ARIA, due to the fact that my anticipation and perception about the fight against corruption is not achieving its objective. I expected that there will be a will. He's talking about political will in the fight against corruption, but this belief of mine had proven to be an illusion, and therefore I cannot continue to raise my career and reputation. But you have already raised your career and reputation. You took the people money, putting them on the pretense that you will recover assets.
Martin.
So you must account. You and Serena Sifos. But do you know who Serena Sifos is, Mr. C?
And that's the question I'm about to ask you. You refer to him as a criminal of a Solicitor General. What proof do you have that this lawyer is a criminal?
I wrote an article. that was also published by International Allies. The title of the article I wrote that article and published on January 19, 2020. I'm going to post the link on your podcast.
Okay.
The title of the article is Sema Serena Sifos, a Solicitor General or a scam genius. 10 hard truths. And let me just tell you who the Solicitor General is. I told you President Weah likes to surround himself with criminals, right?
Yeah, you did.
Let me tell you who Serena Sifos is. The first count against Serena Sifos, right? Mm-hmm. Serena Sifos was involved in a gold scandal, selling fake gold to clients. He was arrested, charged, handcuffed when Samuel Jacob was serving as county attorney and Councillor M. Waking Rice as Solicitor General. He sold fake gold to clients. At that time, he was selling gold. He was never a lawyer. He was jailed under the leadership of Councillor M. Waking Rice as Solicitor General and Samuel Jacobs as county attorney. Number two, the Supreme Court suspended Serena Sifos from practicing law for 3 months, from April 7, 2015 to July 7, 2015, after he was found guilty of misconduct and misleading his clients. The court described his action as contemptuous and grave. That was in 2015. Number three, Serena Sifos was arrested and jailed on charges of sedition and criminal libel and malevolence in December 2019 after accusing ex-President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of supplying arms to dissident forces in Guinea. He spewed out such wild claim and bold-faced lie in an effort to extort money. Are you aware that he was running a newspaper called Plain Truth? He was using this newspaper to extort money from reputable characters in the country, including President Sirleaf. So he accused the government of President Sirleaf of supplying arms to dissidents in Guinea. He was jailed again in 2009 December. Let's go to number 4. I want to tell you who the Solicitor General is and give you a glimpse of how and the extent at which the government is criminal. Let's go to how will you make that kind of man Solicitor General? Look at the man record. And I'm going to post the links so people can read for themselves. Look at the man record. Can this man be a Solicitor General? Does he have the integrity? Does he have morality? Does he have any face to persecute somebody, criminal persecuting somebody? Is it possible in any context, in any environment? Let's go to number 4. While serving as publisher of the Plain Truth newspaper owned and operated by Serena Cephas, which was a major propaganda machinery primarily used to blackmail and extort money from prominent reputable characters, the President of Liberia suspended him for unethical practices contrary to the canons of journalism. He was the publisher of the Plain Truth newspaper. President suspended him like a Solicitor General I'm talking about.
And Martin, these are all popular records.
Popular record. I'm saying I'm going to post the link. Check them. They're on the internet. There are news stories. You will link up to them. These are linked stories. Even one of the stories on BBC where he was arrested and jailed. It's on BBC. There are links to all of what I'm saying. You know, I will not just put anything I will research. I spent hours researching about all of these people calling themselves public officials who are not even fit to be office assistants. This is the level at which public service is. We have reduced public service to the lowest ebb. Under this clueless and extravagant footballer calling himself president, he has relegated the dignity, sanctity, and impeccability of the presidency, which is unfortunate for the Liberian people. Let's go further on Serena Fever. It's good for you to know the Solicitor General to tell you how criminal the entire government is. Okay. You know what it means to be a Solicitor General in a country? You know what it means to have persecutorial power? To persecute. You must not be a criminal, but you are a criminal, then you say you're persecuting people. You have no integrity, no moral value, no moral rectitude at all. Zero integrity. He has zero integrity. Let's go further. Let's go further. Let me tell you more about the Solicitor General. And it's good you have me on for more people to know who are really around Weah as advisors. Now, let me tell you also that Serena Cephas was the mastermind of Associate Justice Kabina Jana in legal impeachment. He was the lead lawyer of the House of Representatives. So he cares not whether the law is being broken, whether the law is being followed. He doesn't care. All he cares about is his interest and the interest of those who appointed him. And the interest of those who appointed him. Let me say to you also that this was the same Serena Cephas. Serena Cephas has been hooked several times in cases of conflict of interest. He always serving as lawyers for criminal companies. He was the lawyer of Cyber Mining, a company that was charged with scandal. He was their lawyer.
And Mountain, and this again kind of resurface the aspect of this conversation we're talking about vetting, especially at the level of the executive. This is a lawyer who there are popular records on him about who he is, about his dealings. And then the president, for some reason, found fit in this guy to be a Solicitor General, least to talk about the guy in charge of assets recovery. No wonder why there is yet any popular record about how much money they have been able to recover.
Well, no asset will be recovered, Mr. Sie. I already told you that no asset will be recovered. It was all about their pockets, the depth of their pockets, and not about the interest of the country. That's why I want to question even Councillor Arthur Johnson. It was all about the money that he went there. Because money is not coming like before, so he has said to the Liberian people, he's resigning. The president doesn't have political will. When did you get to know that the president didn't have political will to fight corruption? When did you get to know? Only when you receive almost 200,000 to recover assets and you didn't recover anything. Let me tell you about a case in Nigeria. Check it out, 2016. Nigeria recovered 9.1 billion. How much did they use? Less than 500,000. But here is an asset recovery team calling for 2.1 million to recover 4.6 billion. Nigeria recovered 9.1 billion United States dollars. The money that was used to even recover that, it didn't even reach 500,000.
What's about effort being made in Sierra Leone? No.
You know we recovered that amount? It was never any kind of organization called ARIA. It was the Anti-Corruption Commission. That the job ARIA is doing is the job of the Anti-Corruption Commission. So the government is usurping the function, the statutory function of the Anti-Corruption Commission, LACC. That's the job of the LACC. So if you set up a new committee like ARIA to do the job of the LACC, what would the LACC do? That's duplication of office, duplication of function, and waste of public resources. And that amounts to fiscal indiscipline.
And Martin, any information about Sierra Leone, our neighbor, in their fight against corruption and also in their effort to recover stolen money? Any record that you have? Because I mean, it's sad that there's no records in Liberia about how much money has been recovered so far, and millions of dollars have been spent into this fight, if I'm not mistaken.
You know,
all right.
Other countries are making progress relative to assets recovery. Look at acting. 5 billion United States dollars has been recovered. Let's go to Sierra Leone, Mada Bio's Sierra Leone. What is Mada Bio doing? You know, when we talk these things, people say, oh, blah, 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 blah. Let me give you the stats available in my reach. Let me give you the stats available in my reach. 16 billion leons of stolen cash was recovered in June 2019 under Mada Bio. Additional 7.5 billion was recovered. Our own asset recovery team, and you know, there's nothing in Sierra Leone called asset recovery team. It is the Anti-Corruption Commission that is leading this fight. It is the Anti-Corruption Commission, Sierra Leone Anti-Corruption Commission, that is leading this fight against corruption in Sierra Leone. But for Liberia, we have created another Anti-Corruption Commission called ARIA. The head of the Anti-Corruption Commission in Sierra Leone, his name is Francis Ben Kafala. He's the one fighting corruption head on a Mada Bio. And that's why Sierra Leone continues to receive a lot of support from the international community, because they have demonstrated sincerity and honesty in the fight against corruption. You know why Weah is now receiving a dime? You know why investors are not coming to that country? You know why unemployment is increasing? You know why the rate of inflation is at an all-time high of 31% according to the IMF? You know why our people do not have food to eat, and Liberians are the 8th hungriest in the world, according to latest report from the United Nations Development Program. You know why the country is the 4th poorest? Because of corruption. The government under President Weah has demonstrated zero tolerance.
Wow.
You know.
All right. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony Cie. Our guest is student activist Martin K.N.Kollie. Martin Kollie is here answering some questions, and we are discussing politics, juicy politics for that matter. We just learned from Martin that in Freetown, about 16 billion leon has been recovered by that nation's anti-graft institution. In our own country, the Republic of Liberia, our LACC, headed by Nwabudike, who Nwabudike way around the system, we are yet to get any report about how much money has been recovered, as though we didn't have LACC, as though we didn't have GSC, as though we didn't have the auditing commission. The president came up with something called ARIA, a team of lawyers that's supposed to fight to recover money. They have been able to give a little over 200,000 to that group of people, but there's no popular record as to how much money they have been able to recover. Folks in cyberspace, we have a number there. If you are there, And I see you,
Well,
you are there. So don't tell me you are not there. It is about time for you to place a call to us and ask
Mr.
Martin
CA, before you
questions.
call, I just want to make a notation briefly.
Do that.
Okay, thank you very much. To further justify why corruption has won the war against Weah, when President Weah came to office, you know what he did? He amputated the transparency and accountability sector. Under President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the transparency and accountability sector in Liberia was receiving $44.9 million United States dollars per annum. When President Weah came to power, he reduced the budget of the transparency and accountability sector to $21.9 million from $44.9 million under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. You think this president is serious to fight corruption? And let me just give you the breakdown. That's why in 2018, Transparency International said Liberia ranked 120 out of 180 countries on the Global Corruption Index. Now, let me just give you a breakdown of these undergraft institutions, what they have received, especially when the president came to power in 2018, the 2018-2019 budget year. For example, LACC, 2 million. General Auditing Commission, 5.4 million. PPCC, Public Procurement Concession Commission, 1.1 million. Internal Audit Authority, 4.2 million. Liberia Extractive Industrial Transparency Initiative, $380,951. Financial Intelligence Unit, $577,044. Good Governance Commission, 1.7 million. Is the government serious about fighting corruption? Are you hearing the amounts these institutions have received or are receiving under the Weah-led government? He has reduced the budget of this institution by 51%. 51% decrease in the budget of anti-graft institutions under Weah, who claims to be someone who has the political. Which political will does he have? So I just wanted to make that notation.
All right, Matthew, thank you so much for that. And I have a question for you, and after that question, we will be going to our callers. And so, folks, the number is being pinned right down there. I pinned it multiple times, or I share it multiple times. Place your calls, and if you have questions for Martin, and if you want to disagree with Martin on the issues, you will be allowed to do so also. Martin, as you said, so we want to know why should Liberian listen to you? Why are you in exile? What is your track record of speaking against corruption prior to President Weah? Because like me, I just started hearing you speaking during President Weah administration. So I think it's something that I want to know, and other people want to know.
My volume has gone low, Mr. C.
I can hear you.
Low.
Yeah, I can hear you. You are.
I can hear you. I'm not getting you.
Oh, really? But I can hear you, Martin. And I'm sure the audience can hear you too. Or it's because maybe somebody was trying to call you. So made the adjustment, flip the phone around again as it was, and yeah, you want to do it sideways so we can get a better video of you. All right, folks, in cyberspace, while Martin is getting set there, it's like somebody call him, and so we're not getting him quickly.
Okay, I get you now.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And my question was, why are you exiled? Why should Liberians listen to you? You know, you're throwing a lot of numbers out there. Why should anything comes out of the mouth of K.N.Kollie be taken serious? And why should we deem it as credible? And what is your record of speaking on the ills in our society prior to the Weah administration? Just briefly so that you can interact with the callers too.
Quite frankly, Mr. C, my records in Liberia are very clear, unimpeachable. You know, I have been a student leader for more than a decade in Liberia. I led several protests under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I was in prison 2 times for leading protests, especially the one I led in Sino during the 159th Independence Day celebration. I was brutalized. I almost got killed by EPS officers, EPS guys, loyal to the president, because they claimed that I brought people to the Independence Day celebration to kill the president. That was my charge. All I told the president was she was misleading the country and the people were suffering. And there was a need for a paradigm shift. I was beaten. I was brutalized to the point of death. The records are there. Coming under President Weah, I have led, when nobody could lead protests in Liberia under President Weah, I led the first protest. I led the very first protest when everybody said the president was this popular guy who nobody could challenge, even though the economy was going down the drain. The economy was on a sloping hill. Nobody could challenge the president. I led the very first protest. And that protest took place in April in red light. I organized marketers, I organized students and youth, and we almost blocked the convoy of the president. It's on the internet, check it. And the next day, after the next day, the next week, the president spoke about the poor state of the economy. Again, I led another protest on July 26th, the first Independence Day celebration under President Weah. The protest that took place, I led that protest. And that protest was demanding that the president and others declare their assets in accordance with Section 10.1 of the 2014 Code of Conduct Law. That's the law. The president now wanted to declare his assets. And our fear was, these are poor boys and girls coming to government. They could enrich themselves. They don't know what they have now. They could become millionaires overnight. That was our concern. So we held our protest on Independence Day celebration. Some of the international guests could not even attend the program because of the euphoria of the protest. They brought hot water. They brought riot police. And the riot police started, firing tear gas at us. We had to retreat to the American embassy where the protest ended. And the next day, the president declared his assets on the 27th of July, 2018. I'm on record of also leading the Bring Back Our Money protest. It was the first largest post-war protest in Liberia. I led the Bring Back Our Money protest successfully, and the international community listened to us. We presented a 10-count petition against the Weah-led government, calling on the international community to prevail upon this government to account for 16 missing billion belonging to the Liberian people. And what did you see the international community doing? They set up an independent investigative committee through an international financial firm called Crow. Today we have the Crow report because of our action. And I'm proud of all of those Liberians who decided to join us on the ring. The heavy downpour of rain that day. It is still on the internet. Go and watch it. I led thousands of Liberians on the ring, calling on the international community that 103 million United States dollars of our money has been stolen. It must be accounted for.
Thank you,
check
Martin.
my records.
Thank you,
My
Martin.
records are there.
Thank you, Martin. We will now.
Student leader, former standard bearer of the Student Unification Party, former Secretary General of the Student Unification Party, former Chairman on Press, Propaganda, Research, and Guardians of the Student Unification Party. I have served the youth and student community diligently. Never a day have you heard K.N.Kollie stole a dime from all of those institutions. I have worked for international institutions like Carter Center, the United Nations, and other organizations. Never a day have you heard K.N.Kollie stole a dime. I challenge anybody. So it is not about self. It is about service to the people. And this is what we need from our leaders. And we must demand it. This is the time for a paradigm shift. Liberians deserve better. Liberia deserves better. The next generation deserves better. But the question here is, who will save Liberia ahead of 2020 and 2023 elections? And I think we need to find an answer to that question.
And Martin, you will bring that answer. We will get to that. My callers are hungry, but myself too, I'm hungry. When you were speaking, a question came to mind, because this is a reality in our country, that we will see somebody as a rising star speaking on the vices in our country, and the Liberian people will put their trust in that person. And then some way, somehow, they made their way to government. They become silent. And the next thing we hear is about corruption. Today, the likes of Samuel Tuer, he was a student leader like you. Many of them were student leaders. They make all this noise. They spoke on the issues that the people are cared about. Today, they are silent. They're in government. Some of them, we are talking about corruption news against them. You were calling Magay a petty rascal. I understand he was at the University of Liberia. I know he gained that consciousness about what goes on into the society that affect the larger society. And I want to believe he wanted to see a fair and decent government that will be representative of the people. But today, you are calling him a petty rascal. Will K.N.Kollie, who is vocal, blunt on the issue, calling names of people, not be a betrayer of the cause tomorrow?
Quite frankly, Mr. C.A., everyone has his or her own upbringing. I grew up in a pastoral home. My parents are pastoral parents, and they taught me how to be disciplined, how to be honest, how to be selfless, how to be humble. And they also taught me how to always, at all times, demonstrate responsibility, accountability, and transparency. Those were basic values I was taught under the parental care of my parents, who are pastors. You know, I grew up in a Christian home. You know, so there are different orientation of people. McGill has different orientation. In fact, he was never a member of the Student Unification Party. He was a member of Student Democratic Alliance on the University of Liberia campus. And there are two political parties on that campus that usually, you know, lie in bed with the government against the interests of the students. The Student Integration Movement and Student Democratic Party. The only political institution that has stood up for more than 44 years is the Student Unification Party. In fact, we led the country to multi-party democracy. There were three progressive institutions that led Liberia to multi-party democracy that everybody is enjoying today. People have the right to sit on the radio and talk. People have the right to work at the legislature. People have the right to go to the University of Liberia because of the sweat and blood of cadres, of ideological comrades who laid down their lives for the struggle.
Thank you,
and these three political institutions, I want to pay homage to them, Mr. C.
Okay.
Let me pay homage to the Student Unification Party. Let me pay homage to the Progressive Alliance of Liberia. Let me also pay homage to the Movement of Justice in Africa. Those were the three progressive, mass-based political institutions that led our country to a pluralistic democracy, because we're on a one-party system. The chewing party, whatever they said was final. Whoever they decided to go to the university was final. Whoever they decided to go to the legislature was final. That barrier was broken by these three progressive institutions. So today, as former standard bearer of SOUP, as former Secretary General of SOUP, I have a different orientation. I just told you that I haven't worked in government before. Most of them, that's their first job in government. They haven't worked in the private sector. I have worked in the private sector. Go and check my record at the Carter Center. Go and check my record at the UN. Go and check my record at the Special Emergency to Restore Children Hope, SESH. Go and check my record at institutions. My record is clean.
All right.
I'm not trying to lie or fly my own cat, but I'm telling you how important it is to work for the people, because humanity is about service to the people. And that is what our government needs to do, and stop stealing to build private mansions and estates at the expense of the ordinary people.
All right, thank you, Martin. I have to go to my callers. I don't want to get in trouble. I'm sure they have questions for you. I can't be the only one asking the question. I like the part you said that your parents are pastoral parents. You know, your upbringing is religiously refined, and I like that. But I know about a guy who has a church, and the guy is the president, and now you are pointing your fingers at him, and you have not even claimed the pulpit yet, or mounted the pulpit, and you say, when that time comes, when K.N.Kollie gets that gavel in his hand to manage resources, he will be as transparent as he is making us to believe. And that's all. And hold on, Martin. Martin, and that's all we want. But this video will be kept. It will be on YouTube, and I will be around to hold you accountable, because we want.
Problem.
Yeah. So let's come to our callers here, Martin. They have some questions for you. All right. This one, Mr. Steve Bullet, is your time. Speak now or forever hold your peace, my friend.
Hi, Mr. C. How are you?
I'm okay. Sorry for keeping you long. I wanted to get everything off my chest. Go ahead.
Well, I like to send a greetings to K.N.Kollie in the studio there with you.
Okay.
Martin, thanks for all you do. I also like
to increase the volume spot
anytime I have the opportunity.
Yeah, Martin said you should increase the volume of your voice.
Martin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm getting you now. Thank you.
I hope. Okay, yeah. So, like I'm saying, I always, anytime I have the opportunity to recognize the Liberian people, they are the most important people, and we will keep acknowledging them and recognizing them. They are. Also, I like to also recognize the Liberian women. They're the most beautiful women on earth. I think K.N.Kollie can attest to that, and you, Mr. C, can attest to that as well. But let's get to serious issues here. First of all, my concern right now is no longer with the nominee on the president for the NECC commissioner chair. My concern is no longer with him. One of my concern and question to Martin is, what is the next step? The next step in ensuring that we research or we gather the facts about those who abetted and aided this guy to have come up to where he is as of now. Another thing I wanted to say before I leave is, I think President Weah chose the wrong generation to become president for. He chose the wrong generation. But something else I want to say to all Liberians, I'm watching the paradigm shift. I'm watching changes. I'm watching things happening in the world, and I'm watching Liberia very closely. What I'm seeing is, if you think you are in the opposition now, that you will have on the canopy of being, advocate or speaker or something, or loudmouth or tough guy or educator, whatever it is, to come and be a crook and a criminal after George Weah, you're wasting your time. You will meet men and women, boys and girls who will checkmate you. Liberia is moving forward after this. We're not settled for no more jokers, no more liars. We got to move forward. We're in the 21st century. That being said, I want to say to those in the opposition, if you're not serious-minded, stay away. If you're serious-minded, let's do this together and let's hold this government accountable. Thank you so much, Mr. CA, and thanks for focusing on Liberia.
All right, Martin read that question that he asked. Dan, don't be carried away by that beautiful comment. Let me go to the line again, and this caller, the man K.N.Kollie Double. Mr. Double, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Quickly to the issue. Mr. Double, are you there? Oh, he seems to be distracted. Double, are you there?
Hello, Mr. C.
Yes.
I'm right here, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anthony, and thanks to the vocal K.N.Kollie. I mean, he's a young man I admire a lot, and I like his passion. The reason why I love people who have passion like this is that, when you come to the show with passion like this or country or for anything for that matter, you can be held accountable tomorrow just in case you go contrary to what you say or what you do.
Right.
So just as you just warned him, I admire his passion. I hope he keep it up. As every one of us, he's not the only one. Those some of us are not on the front line like they do, but we are all fighting this thing together. We are fighting this thing because we want a better Liberia for tomorrow. The topics are so many that I can tell you for now, the only one I want to pick up from your discussion for now is that the best way for Liberia right now, I can tell anybody that have posted on several occasions, is to fight corruption. Corruption right now in Liberia is our biggest enemy. If you notice Liberia today, the only reason why we're having insecurities, we're having all of these noise going on and so forth and so on, it is because of corruption. If we can all group together as a people, as a country who have the love for Liberia and fight corruption, we can get the best out of Liberia and Liberians. Corruption is our major problem right now. Corruption is the biggest disease we have as Liberians. Let us all come together. Like Abraham Darrell Dillon always said, whenever it comes to fighting corruption, we are all divided as Liberians. That's the wrong part we always do. Because I know that when my brother is in the corrupt eye, I support him because I think I'm benefiting from it. If we can only put aside our family sentiments, our family idealism and what have you, and come together and fight this fire of corruption, we all can make Liberia a better place. So thank you very much for your time. And Martin, let's continue to fight and make Liberia better for everyone of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Double. Let's take this one, Martin. Caller, your name and where you joining us from.
If you're speaking to me, my name is K.N.Kollie. Are you talking to me?
Yes, Peter, it's your turn. Go straightly. Your concern or question.
Yeah, so thank you. First of all, thanks for taking my call. I'm watching your program and I'm encouraged. I wanted to call Martin and tell Martin, first of all, thank you for your voice, that's being added to our democracy. This is how countries get better. You are opening eyes. You are very, very informed on what you are saying. And that's encouraging to a person who's from afar, who were forced to leave home, now resides in a different country and watches what's going on in our country with complete despair as to how people are suffering. So to hear a voice like yours, who's informed, adding to the democracy, is very, very encouraging. I also want to say to the host of the show, Mr. Sia,
Yeah.
I don't understand this narrative as to why it always becomes personal. Martin does not have to aspire to be in government to speak against the ills in government.
Okay.
If the logic that Martin is using or the facts that he's using is not accurate, let's debate that. When I hear people say, just like Marlon Malou and Curtis Gray was saying, talking about, oh, you let the man in before you affirm the man before, you should do it now. No, you shouldn't. When you find wrong, you point out the wrong. Because we made a mistake before doesn't mean we get to make it now. Let's go at the logic. I don't aspire to be in government at all. I like working in the private sector. I work with children. That's what I like doing. I'm an educator. I want to stay in that. However, if there are things going wrong in the government, I'm going to point that out because I'm an educator, man. So I know what should be happening. Doesn't mean I should go work in that field. So even if Martin was to be the most corrupt person ever, if you do vote for him, well, that's our fault for not vetting that person. So when you ask him, how can we assure that you are going to be the right person or you're not going to go and do what others did, that's on you. We should have vetted those people we put in places, especially integrity organizations, before we elected them. Right? George Weah was not vetted. We allowed George Weah to escape debates. George Weah was never asked, how do you plan on, what's your worldview? What's your economic worldview? How do you plan on generating wealth for this country? Okay, what do you think about this and that? We allow him to become president, and now we're complaining that this man doesn't have integrity. We have people in integrity institutions with no integrity. Let me just close on this.
Yes, please close.
Yeah, let me close on this, though. Okay. The last caller talked about how corruption is the biggest issue that we're facing. Our country is not the first one to fight corruption. My voice I will add to it is from learning what other nations did, you need professionalism and you need accountability. That means you need a rule of law. Again, you need to put people in places who are capable of doing the job. It has nothing to do with being religious or having a religious background. It has to do with professionalism and integrity and the rule of law. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you calling. All right. Let's take this one. Caller with phone number ending in 4029. Your turn. Your name and where you're joining us from.
Yes. Yes, this is my caller. I'm joining you from Minnesota.
Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Quickly to the issue.
Yeah, thank you, Sia, and thank you to the young gentleman, K.N.Kollie. I really loved your passion, your exuberance, and everything that you bring to the Liberian political discourse. That is good. Keep it up. But let me say to Mr. Sia, you know, statistics can be manipulated by anybody. I listened to Martin as he spoke and he referenced a lot of statistics. And he called a huge number that, you know, I think for the sake of the audience, he should be able to convert that into United States dollars so people can understand. I know that Sierra Leone has not even been able to retrieve the 13 billion Leon he's talking about. That is, I think, $1.2 million. Okay.
He said 16.
He talks about, say that?
He said 16.
Okay, yeah, even 16. It was still fall on 1.5 million United States dollars. So I want us to be sensitive. And when we're discussing these issues, I hope and pray that it can be a debate where somebody can have the means to counter some of those tasks and provide alternatives to them. For example, Martin talks about Liberia or Sierra Leone getting more support from the international community or whatsoever. I don't know if he's following. Liberia getting a lot of support. We got over $100 million. We got $100 million from USAID. We got over $50 million for school feeding program. We got over $40 million from our partners in the agriculture sector. We're getting so much money too. Okay, and there are a lot of things that are happening in Liberia. What is our challenge right now is the economy. And that is a challenge that for a lot of reasons is giving us hard time. And it takes a lot to change our economic situation because not delve into right now. But I just hope that this conversation we can have it in a balanced way, that one person cannot just come and use statistics and manipulate our statistics to try to make things to look different. In Liberia, what has happened in corruption? Martin talked about cutting budget from corruption institution. I don't know if he's referencing specifically the harmonization exercise, which were across the board. But in terms of operational expenditure, that statistic, 81%, is far from the truth. Okay. And there are a lot of things that at least I hope that we have a conversation of balance.
Mr. Weah?
And
Mr. Weah?
Yeah.
But you are misinterpreting me. I'm still here.
Mr. Weah, this is what we can do for you. Yeah, focus on Liberia.
I didn't say 81%. I said the budget was cut by 51%. Go and look at the 2018-2019 fiscal year budget.
And
the budget of the transparency and accountability sector was cut by 51%. It's there. I can send you the budget.
Martin, if it will meet your approval, K.N.Kollie is available for a debate next Friday.
Well, if he wants to debate, no problem. I'm available. We can debate.
And
for your
information, Mr. Weah, I know him. He's a personal friend, and he is a long-standing member of the CDC, and he will be willing to debate you next Friday. Mr. Weah, conclude.
Yeah, no
you have a debate on your hand next Friday.
We can bring our facts. We can bring our facts.
Yeah. Okay, to close up. Also, Martin should also reference to our people that the government of Liberia just won the case against former defense minister Samuka, former police director Beatrice Bonassi, and stuff like that. So yes, there are a lot of things that we need to do in Liberia. And I'm not here like Kollie. So you said the government did not win the case and they took appeal?
The government didn't win the case.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay,
right.
Let me not eat all you guys' time and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so to sum up, I love the fact that you talk about having an exchange, and we can come bring the statistics and be able to provide alternatives. Again, in closing, Martin, I said thank you for what you do. All of us, I believe, want the best for Liberia. Sometimes I sure we disagree on the strategy, the who, the how, and the what. But obviously, we hope and pray that God bless our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weah. Mr. Weah here is a frequent guest here at Focus on Liberia. Thank you, Mr. Weah. Let's take this one quickly and we'll come back to you, Martin. This one, where's this one? Yeah, right here. Call out with phone number ending in 1954.
Yes, this is
All right, Howard, are you listening to something? I get a feedback.
No.
Martin, are you listening to something?
No, I'm not.
All right, go ahead, Howard.
Is it better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Echo.
All right, first I want to acknowledge our patriot, Martin K.N.Kollie. His brilliance and his focus on his consciousness will never be erased from Liberia. I want to acknowledge that in this generation we have young minds like Martin K.N.Kollie who can sit there and challenge our democracy. I'd like to say that we are going to Liberia where our forefathers, the people who sat before, saw things that was vulnerable to our people, defy our people of their civil liberty. They never spoke. I'm proud of the generation of Martin K.N.Kollie. Yeah.
The echo is bad, so it's hard for people to follow you.
I'm on my phone, so I don't know why. I'm on my phone. The echo is still bad.
Yeah, I don't know, my sister. I don't know where that comes from.
Okay, Okay, can I just ask my question and I can get off?
Please.
Okay. So I wanted to go because Martin talked a lot about things and he called out a lot of things that was against a lot of injustice of our people when it comes to our constitution, the laws of our land. Our people are not really researching and they are not really aware of. You know, Kwame Nkrumah talks about how Europe is making frantic efforts when it comes to the direction of economic and political integration, right? And then he talked about when it comes to Africa, Africa is being torn apart by maneuvers and intricacies of neo-colonialism. I want to ask Martin, we are at a junction now of our democracy and our Republic of Liberia where we have seen so many unfollowed reasons when it comes to our democracy. At what point, what junction that Martin Kollie think that we can get to integrate our political genre, to also bring our people into the knowledge of civil liberty? What do he think and how can we get there when it comes to the political integration of our people and the consciousness of their mind? Why is our people stuck? That's my question. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Martin.
I didn't get her. Can you ask the question?
I really didn't get that too. Myself.
I think she was talking about what can we do in the direction of civil liberty and justice.
Yeah, Martin, hold on.
I think that feedback is coming from you.
Yeah, and it's disturbing the quality of the program. All right. I think we should be fine now, Martin.
You sure?
Is it better now?
I'm still getting the echo. I'm still getting the feedback. I don't know why, but I think it's from your end.
This is disturbing the quality of the show. I cut everything off at my end.
It is still coming.
All right. What I'm gonna do? So, but go ahead and speak, Martin. I'm gonna cut the phone system off. Apparently, that's where it's coming from.
Quite frankly, you know, I would just like to clarify a few things from the concerns raised by my colleague. He was concerned about the stats and figures I'm putting out.
Yeah.
Those are very verifiable situation in the budget of the transparency and accountability sector that can be found in the 2018-2019 approved national budget of the Republic of Liberia. The budget of the transparency and accountability sector was cut by the Weah-led government 51%. And I was very exact in terms of giving you amount. I said, under the administration of Early, this sector had $44.9 million United States dollars. Under the administration of Weah, this amount reduced to $21.9 million. I was very clear. He talked about the situation with Sierra Leone. I said 16 billion leons. 16 billion leons has been recovered by the Anti-Corruption Commission of Sierra Leone. I have just posted a link on the podcast. So those who are monitoring can also follow the link to read the story and other stories relative to the fight against corruption in Sierra Leone under President Mada Bio.
Yeah,
so,
and Martin, hold on.
Those who
part of his question was that you should be able to convert it to US dollars so people can be able to get a, you know, actual sense of why it is, because not many people know the value of leon.
All right, 16 billion
leon now, billion.
16 billion leons to USD.
All right, folks in cyberspace, while Martin is doing that, keep placing your phone calls. I see a lot of you here. I will be bringing you in quickly. It seems to be that issue has been resolved. To Hawa Menska, we are sorry that there was this feedback where you couldn't figure out what was happening. It's under control. If you can call back, I will take you quickly. All right, Martin, get that figure. Let me take some calls here quickly. There are a couple of people that have been waiting. This person been waiting for 39 minutes. I'm going to take this one. Caller with 0542, your name and where you joining us from.
My name is Kevin Gavler.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, Martin, what's up? This is your sister. Martin, I love the work that you're always doing. Thank you for everything. You know, so that when I see you, I think about the late, what they got name, Kalamina Flomo, Justin, what they call it, and stuff like that. So keep on the good work. Don't give up. They got some people, they don't like to listen to the truth. But some of us will really appreciate you. So I thank you for everything. So keep on the good work. One day things will be okay. Don't give up. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for the encouragement.
All right.
Nothing about.
All right. All right, Martin, go ahead and release that amount. Let's see.
So 16 billion leons is equivalent to $1,642,770.04 in United States dollars. So 1.64 million United States dollars. The conversion of 16 billion to USD.
All right, Martin, we got a lot of callers for you. Let me take that one. Says Hawa, if you can call right by, I will appreciate that. I want to believe she might be the one here. All right. Hawa, is that you?
Yes, that's me. That's correct.
All right. All right. Yeah, that issue is under control now. Quickly, you can ask your question again. I must say I didn't get that clear.
Yes, I'm so sorry because all my acknowledgments was not even heard. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do what I said before so Martin can hear my message. I wanted to say to the general public, all your audience watching this platform, you can like to agree or disagree. It's no problem, but we cannot move on the fact that Martin Kollie, his voice is needed, is crucial in our democracy, in our republic at this particular time. His brilliance and his intellect cannot be discussed or even challenged because he had the brilliance, he had the factual evidence to prove it all the time. So I want to salute him as from a patriot to another patriot. I thank him for staying in his generation, that history will be kind to him. I'm going to go ahead and ask my question now because we also have to always go back to history when we come to the present. People like Kwame Nkrumah talks about how he saw that Europe was making frantic efforts when it comes to the direction of economic and political integration. My question to Martin was, we are at a junction now where we are seeing compromises of our democracy, compromises of our constitution. We also intertwine with our democracy. All kinds of injustice in Liberia. Martin Kollie is one of the people that supports me and backs me when it comes to rape and injustice for our women and our children, and our entire society as a whole. At this junction that we are at right now, how can Martin Kollie assure people that are depending on his voice and Liberians all over the world, even the ones in Liberia, how do we come to a place where Liberia can come to a place where we can have our economic and political integration reinstated back into Liberia? That's my question.
So in short, Hawa is asking, how can we get to economic freedom, or economic parity or equality?
Yep. That's a question. Answer it quickly. There are a lot of people waiting.
All right, Hawa, thanks. I have admired the brilliance and resilience of Hawa as well. She has been one of the feminists in chief, advocating for young girls and women across the republic. And she has been to Liberia several times in pursuit of her advocacy. So I must appreciate her publicly on this platform. Thank you, Hawa, and thanks to all of you who continue to pursue the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Code in Liberia, as well as cases relative to rape and sexual exploitation of women and our young girls in the country. But basically, you see, Hawa. Now, to some extent, I can clearly say to you and all those watching this podcast that Liberia has gained some level of political independence. But Liberia still remains economically dependent. So my conclusion is we aren't an independent nation altogether. We are still dependent economically. to some extent, we are politically weak as a result of our economic dependency. So you have asked a very good question. How do we get out of this situation? Because an independent nation is independent both politically and economically, not politically and not only politically you are independent, but you must be independent economically too. But Liberia depends on aid. Liberia is an aid-dependent country. Liberia depends on our foreign assistance, loan, grant from the IMF, World Bank, African Development Bank. The only way we can get out of this situation, however, and begin to empower our people, begin to place dignity on the lives of our people, begin to regain the self-worth, self-determination, and prestige our people deserve, except we begin to invest in what I call agriculture. For example, we need to invest in, we need to cultivate our land. Do you know how many millions of hectares of land in our country? Why are we even importing? Why are we importing over 300 million worth of rice per annum to the country when we have millions of hectares of land, arable land, that could grow our own staple food, rice, and other crops that could make us capable of even exporting some of those crops and attracting foreign currencies to the economy? Why aren't we doing that? So everything now falls to leadership, because the leadership you have had, the leadership you have now, are corrupt regimes. Group of political elites only care about themselves and not the interests of the people. Look at the government you have in place now. The government calls itself pro-po. Pro-po or kill-po. I think the latter will suffice in my opinion, because what the government is doing is to kill po and not to pro-po and not to promote the po. So my point is, as a way of achieving economic freedom, economic parity, economic equality, both men and women, we must first have a patriotic leadership that is willing to invest both in the private and public sector. As a way of investing in the private and public sector, agriculture should be the key to opening our economy. Because, for example, if we decide to say, oh, look, no need of us spending 300 million to import rice to the country. Let us use 200 million this year to invest in 15 farms in the various counties. You know what I'm going to do? It's going to create jobs for a lot of people. It's going to increase the revenue base of the government. It's going to put food on our people's table. We are no longer going to be food insecure. It's going to export some of those food and bring money, foreign currency to the economy that is going to positively impact the inflation rate. It's going to open markets and increase the market capitalization of the country. It's going to do a lot. Make people self-sufficient. People will no longer depend on government. So this is what I have suggested as a way of going forward, right? I have developed a module. I'm still working on that module. I'm going to give to the government free of charge as a student of economics. The module is called ATIL, right? Agriculture, number 1, tourism, number 2, after tourism, transportation, number 3, technology, number 4, education, number 5, energy, number 6, right? And entrepreneurship. It's called ATIL. That's the model I'm working on now. If only we can focus on those areas, we can focus on those areas. Liberia will forever experience economic boom, and a lot of Liberians will be lifted out of poverty. The country is too small, Mr. CA, for our people to be poor. Look at how the country is. The country is too small. 3 million people, 4.5 million people. Look at what we have. We have Manima. Let me just name some of the resources we have quickly before you can take the next color. We have Manima. We have the Bone Range. We have Putuman. We have Wologisi. You know how many rivers, valleys, natural reliefs, we have lakes. We have all of these resources, and we are right near the Atlantic Ocean again. Imagine if we decide to invest in tourism. You know how many foreigners come to our country and use our tourist sites free of charge. They are not paying a dime. I was at the Patawi waterfall before the government could chase me out of Liberia. I went to the Patawi waterfall. Let me give you my experience. I met a group of American students there using the Patawi waterfall free of charge. Nobody is asking them to pay. People go to the Providence Island free of charge. People go to the Ducal Palace Hotel free of charge. People go to the traditional center free of charge. People go to the Blue Lake in Bowman County free of charge. People go to the Mermaid, Lake Taylor free of charge. People go to Lake Shepherd free of charge. Why are we now raising money from all of these tourist destinations?
All right. Thank you,
Liberia
Martin.
could be an attraction of tourism if we invest in the economy. I'm saying one time to discuss the economy so I provide some reasonable solutions. Because the other day I wrote a 10-page policy paper providing 26 solutions how we get all of this economic malaise that is confronting the country now.
Thank you, Martin. Let's take
we don't
our
have the time for me to talk a lot.
I know, and don't forget the debate between you and Macaulay next Friday. We can get a lot out of you. Yeah.
And I hope we can focus on the economy as well.
Oh,
I hope
yeah.
we can focus on the economy and how we get out of the current situation. How CDC has managed the economy very poorly.
All right. So let's take this one quickly from Tevinan. Tevinan, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Oh, thank you. Glad you finally picked up my call. Am I that audible?
Yes,
okay?
you are audible. You
Hello?
can receive a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to Martin most of all. He doesn't know me personally. I follow him, his audios and his writing most of all, and I just want to thank you. Such a brilliant young man. I just want to say thank you for everything that he do daily and even today, by sharing the wealth of information. First of all, with a gentleman, my colleague or whatever, Weah, that called earlier, and was asking Martin to convert the money to Liberian dollars or whatever it is, and also trying to outline one or two things that the government did. And I wanted to speak to that because I've listened to him twice on your show.
Yeah.
He wasn't convincing, has not been convincing, will not be convincing. The issue, I think he's missing the mark. The issue here, whatever we converted to Liberian dollars or US dollars, the point remains that other countries are making great strides, including Sierra Leone, in the right direction to do the right thing.
That's the point.
Liberia, sadly, is making no effort, and we want to defend it. And that is absolutely wrong. What he should be doing is taking notes every time you have somebody like Martin who's coming out here supported about facts. Take notes and go back to his government, and I can speak to that because I worked for government as well for almost 10 years, and go back with the notes and see how best they can do better. Versus coming here to try to come into our debate, it's a waste of time, and it's something that your platform should not encourage. I know you guys are in the numbers business, but it has some people like us who come here to listen to sound conversations and to gain, and to listen to arguments or our government won a case yesterday or one or two cases in 2.5 years. That is just foolishness, for lack of better terms. That is not the place that every time you got to kind of debug, well, okay, Martin said something there, so I'm coming out to sell CDC or sell the current government. You cannot convince us because you know what? We are rational people. We are critical thinkers. Besides Martin saying what he's saying, we can read, we can write, and we can analyze. Some of these things Martin are referencing are things that the world are already referenced. We read all these reports around the world. So having my colleague here 3-4 times is not convincing. So I just wanted to speak to that. So I will stop right there, and I want to say thank you again.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for your point, but we want you to understand that Macaulay is a Liberian like you. He loves the country like you, and we all need to talk. There's nothing wrong with debating the issue. Let's take our last callers, Martin, so that we can draw down the curtains here. This one from the man, Ligori Willem. Quickly. Ligori, are you there?
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm here.
All right. Quickly to the issue. You have 1 minute, sir.
Anyway, I first of all want to thank you for having me, accepting my call, and I want to extend great appreciation to my brother K.N.Kollie for his tireless advocacy and love for the country of Liberia. all of this is all about corruption within the country that we are trying everything we can to fight. I just wanted to ask my brother Mountain a question. And this is, Mountain, what would you recommend, my dear brother? Because this seems to be our serious issue that we are faced with in Liberia, corruption. And it all finally, arise from the Nwabudike federal. What would be your recommendation, having the opportunity to finally expose one of a corrupt man in the country of Liberia? What would be your recommendation to we, the sons and daughters of Liberia, and to our leadership in Liberia, considering the fact that we are finally understand that this man have been, milking our system? What would be your recommendation to set example so as to enable the generations that are coming after us to learn?
Thank you. Thank you, Ligori. Martin, take that one down. So let's take this last two caller quickly. This one, caller with 1787, last phone number 1787. Quickly to the issue. You have 1 minute.
Hey, hello. My name is Jehudi Ashmer, the 7. I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, you are live. Straight to the issue. You have 1 minute.
Before my question, okay, there was a misunderstanding from Mr. Wright when Martin quoted about the support from the international community for our asset recovery. He did not say the international community are not supporting our government, but he said they are not supporting our asset recovery because of the new system that we have put in place. It was not recognized. Okay, this is my question. About corruption in our country. This corruption situation came in part to vein when they put to death other people because of rampant corruption. Today, we have Liberia as one of the corrupt countries in the world. I want to ask Martin, what can we do to minimize or limit corruption in Liberia at the present time?
All right. Thank you for that brilliant question. Yeah. Thank you for that question.
I think his question is similar to the previous caller's question.
Right. So similar question. Please let's keep it under 1 minute. Let's go to this
let me
one
just
here
respond
quick. No, Martin, let's take the last one and then you can respond so we can close. Yeah, caller with 4876. 76, my favorite number. Quickly, you have 1 minute.
Well, thank you very much. Are you hearing me?
I am hearing you, and you are live. Quickly to the issue.
Well, thank you. My name is Pierre Jadia. I am a member of the United People's Party. And
all right, Mr. Jadia, give it a volume. We want to hear from United People's Party. Raise your volume a little bit.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, again, my name is Pierre Jadia. I'm from the United People's Party. I appreciate the fact that Mr. Martin paid homage to Gabriel Matthews and Tipote, as well as the student of the University of Liberia. What concerns me listening to him is that it appears to me that the issues of corruption and all of the ills in the society seem to be centered around Judge Weah, more so than previous administration. And I'm wondering, how does he plan to deal with the ill of the country from the distance? Because when Gabriel Matthews went to Liberia and Tipote, they stay right there, irrespective of threats to their lives. He, Martin, now is in exile, and given all of these numbers, how does he wish to address those issues from the distance?
Thank you.
Come again?
He said, how do you intend to address the issue from the distance now that you are in exile when, the likes of Tipote and Abako Matthew, were fighting these things? They were fighting them with their feet on the ground. So how you intend to fight from a distance? So the man wants you on the ground. All right, thank you, caller. And Martin, you can answer those, and so we can wrap it up here.
Let me just start with the last caller.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate his thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think his conclusion is a vivid misinterpretation of history. It's a misinterpretation of history because even Bacchus Matthew, people ran into Ezra at a certain point in time. Jew Mason ran into Ezra. H. Brahman family ran into Ezra. They ran into Ezra for their lives because they could not stay under a military junta to kill them. Allow Ezekiel Pachibo. Tiawan Gongo ran into Ezra. I'm naming all of them who ran into Ezra. So when your life is at risk, you don't demonstrate what I call reckless bravadoism. You don't see the fire and go and put your hand in it. That's reckless bravadoism in the context of logic, right? You know that they come and kill you, standing there, you say, they will not kill me. So when the risk level is high, you have to retreat. That is what the dialectics of revolutionary demands or dictates. So my brother, I'm in Ezra for a reason. I'm monitoring the situation back home. That is why I'm not keeping silent. While I'm in Ezra, I'm running a podcast, promoting consciousness, informing our people, educating them, and provoking sensitive national debates. Yeah, I am on one of the most popular platforms in the diaspora. I'm talking to Liberians back home and abroad about issues in the country. This is my own way of contributing while I'm away. So I have not neglected the motherland, and I will never. An attempt to do that, this would not only be a disloyalty to my conscience, but a disloyalty to our generation, our country, and continent as well. Let me answer the next question quickly. You know, two persons asked about what can we do to minimize corruption in the country. Now, let me say this. You see, fighting corruption, Anthony and Sonny C, goes far beyond the establishment of anti-graft institutions, right? That was why I told Madam Salif in 2015, coming upward to 2016. So, Madam Salif, you have succeeded in establishing a number of anti-graft institutions, anti-corruption commissions, but fighting corruption doesn't end there. It goes beyond the establishment of the General Auditing Commission. It goes beyond the establishment of the Internal Audit Authority. It goes beyond all of these anti-graft and integrity institutions. Fighting corruption requires political will on the part of the president. The president must lead by example so that those who are following the president as political appointees can also lead by example. But when the president is corrupt, what do you expect the deputies to be? In the case of President Weah now, President Weah is building private properties all around the country as well as his wife. So what do you expect the deputies of President Weah to do?
Did he say his wife?
Now, the next thing.
Martin.
His wife.
Oh, wife? Oh, I thought he said wife. Oh, okay, okay.
Huh?
No, I thought he said wife with an S.
No, I said wife.
Okay, okay.
I only know one wife.
Okay.
But I know several cocoa bands, as narrated in a leaked audio by Moba Molu, that the president uses his power to exploit young women, including Liberian girls, before giving them opportunities.
Are you talking about?
It's clear.
Are you talking about ice cream?
Of course, ice cream. That alone is an impeachable offense. The president should be impeached by now. See, I'm telling you, just by the revelation made by your own chairman that you use your power. That's an abuse of power, using your position to exploit young girls in exchange for opportunities. That's an abuse of power. And the Constitution says it is an impeachable offense. Why is the president not impeached by now? Simply because you have a rubber stamp legislature. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives and the House of Senate, they get all they care about kickbacks, bribes, brown envelopes. So we are going nowhere under that kind of system. So to minimize corruption, we need to build strong systems and strong institutions. We need to build strong systems and we need to build strong institutions. The second thing we need to do, we need to invest in fighting corruption. Let's increase the budgetary appropriations of those integrity institutions to fight corruption head on. But your government reducing the budget of these institutions, you're making them more vulnerable and toothless. How do they fight corruption? For example, You reduce the budget of LACC from 3.1 million to 2 million. How do you expect LACC to fight corruption? 3.1 million was not even sufficient. You have reduced it to 2 million. How do you expect them to fight corruption? How do you expect them to be technically capacitated, logistically capacitated, and for manpower to be available, willing, able to work and ensure that corruption is fought? So we must go beyond just establishing anti-graft institutions. The president, fighting corruption in our country here depends on the political will of the president. I will continue to say this. Somebody asked about Dubusi. Where do we go from here for Dubusi? Now, in my opinion, Dubusi has committed 4 major crimes. He must be prosecuted. He must be, because I know he will be guilty. The facts are glaring. The facts are unimpeachable to indict him, right? Dubusi has committed perjury. He has lied on an oath. He has committed forgery by forging his certificate of citizenship. He has defrauded the state. That's defrauding of the state. It is a crime under the criminal system of Liberia, under the criminal law system of Liberia. When you defraud the state, it's a crime. You can be jailed for that. He has also committed criminal malevolence. So if I was Solicitor General, if I was the Justice Minister, by now an indictment has been drawn against this criminal of the lawyer called Dubusi Nwabudike. But now he's in jail. Look at what the man did to the country. He has destroyed the image of the country. He has brought the presidency into public disrepute. President Weah thinks that this affects Dubusi alone. It also affects your level of reasoning, your level or your system of vetting. How have you been vetting? Look at the quality of people we have in our governments here. Some people are not even 13 high school graduates, but they are ministers.
And Martin, do we still have this Nwabudike, our entire system, as the head of LACC? Do we?
He is still there, but I'm receiving information that the president has retired him and appointed someone else, but that information is now official. You know, I received this information when I was on my podcast yesterday. Yes, yesterday. You know, but it is not yet official. But by now, he should not be there, considering the crimes he has committed. You talking about perjury? Perjury is a criminal offense. To lie on an oath, you know what that means? To lie on an oath. Then you didn't want to lie on an oath, but you forge your document. You forge your certificate of citizenship, quote unquote. You defrauded the state all of those years by serving in public offices based on those fraudulent documents. You defrauded the state of thousands of taxes.
And Martin, finally, you were talking about ice cream and Nwabudike making startling revelations about dealings of the president. And the same Nwabudike came out and said all that he said was liquor talk, that he was being controlled by liquor. I think we should listen to Nwabudike. Isn't it all liquor talk?
How did he manage to know? How did he manage to know that he was drunk? When you're drunk, when you're in that kind of state of mind or frame of mind, you don't know. You are subconscious because your system is alcoholic. Your nerves are being controlled. Your sensory nerves and all of your nerves, organs in your body are being controlled by the alcohol. So how did he know he was drunk? That's the first thing. Psychologically, his conclusion or rebuttal to what he said on the tape is very weak. It's poor excuse. That was the fight. That was the fight he was in.
All right. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Martin. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you have been watching Focus on Liberia, and this is the Hour of Politics with me, Anthony C.A. And we have gone 2 hours now. We've been having student activist, student leader, Martin K.N.Kollie as our guest, and we have been discussing who gave us Nwabudike, and he told us how we got Nwabudike. We got Nwabudike because Nwabudike is where, through our entire system, he deceived the president, he deceived the judicial system, he deceived our senators, even deceived the University of Liberia. He deceived everybody, everything about Liberia. And Nwabudike away through the system and milked the system Nwabudikely. He said that is how we got him. And many people asking question, what do we do with Nwabudike? He did not hold by, prosecute him. submit him to an investigation. According to him, the evidence are preponderance, and he will be caught in the web of his own net that he created, and he should be persecuted. Martin, we couldn't have gotten more from you. We want to give you some time to take some fresh air. There's a debate coming next Friday between you and my colleague Weah. My colleague Weah does not take prisoners.
I have my podcast on Friday. I have my podcast on Friday, so let's make it Thursday. This same Thursday next week.
All right, we can make it Thursday. I will talk to
I usually go live on Friday, Wednesday, and Monday.
Thank you.
So I cannot appear on Friday. I appear on Thursday. Let's adjust it to Thursday.
We can adjust that to Thursday, Saturday. I will talk to management. I'm very, very confident management is going to approve that. And after all, Thursday is Monday. So Martin, we can talk one day. Thank you for being here, providing education for our people. We were so honored that you honor our invitation. It is time for you to close up. So wrap up and tell our people what they should expect. Coronavirus around. People are in despair. Our economy is staying shambles. Life is difficult. Speak to your people so we can close.
First and foremost, I want to appreciate you and your team at the level of focus on Liberia. You guys are doing a very great job. I know what it means. I know what it takes to do the job you do every day for our people back home and even our people abroad, all geared towards making the motherland better for all Liberians, regardless of ethnicity, religion, political affiliation, or social status. And I just want to say hats off to you, especially you've been committed and resilient to this cause. This is the people's cause. This is why I want to take this opportunity to call all Liberians monitoring. We need to unite at a common front. Liberia is dying. The plane is about to crash. We must do all we can as a people and a nation to rescue our country. We have had enough. We have had enough. This is the time for Liberia to make progress. Why we continue to move in a counterclockwise direction? Why we continue to move in a counterclockwise direction? Instead of going ahead, we are moving beyond. President Weah his feet is on the reverse gear. He's speeding in the reverse gear instead of accelerating. Look at the situation Liberia is in currently, a catch-22 situation, crisis in almost every sector. Gasoline shortage, economic crisis, liquidity crisis, water scarcity, unemployment, hack intuition, hack in the charges on GSM and text messages. There are crises everywhere, Mr. C. I just want to call on Liberians amidst the raging coronavirus disease. All of us need to prevent ourselves and our families. Life is so precious. The best thing we can do is to stay home. The best thing we can do is to observe social distancing, to ensure that we do not come down with the virus, because this virus is life-threatening. It is a killer disease. We have another outbreak again in Nima County, specifically K.N.Kollie and Tapeta. We have measles outbreak. And you know what measles does? It kills a lot of kids. It breaks down the immune system. So we are confronted now with two outbreaks, coronavirus and measles, which is very dangerous. And our government is demonstrating zero leadership in terms of managing the affairs of these crises or handling these crises in a more proper, technical, and progressive manner. So I just want to call on Liberians. And one thing I want to say, I often hear people say the country is in mess, but they haven't asked themselves, who is this mess? In my opinion, Mr. Weah is the mess. He's the real problem. And until we can ensure that Mr. Weah steps down, and I want to be very clear on this platform, like I was clear yesterday on my podcast, I'm calling for the immediate step down of President Weah. He is unfit in all dimensions. After 2 years of democratic rule on this president, there are nothing substantive to show, nothing tangible. I challenge anybody to tell me how have the Liberian people's lives improved? How? To what extent? Instead of the lives of our people improving, communities are increasing, ghettos are increasing, the number of Zogos, youth at risks. Minorities are even protesting, including albinos, persons with disability Our young sisters and mothers are being raped on a daily basis, while perpetrators go with impunity. President Weah is refusing to establish the War and Economic Crimes Code because there are allegations that he supported model of Thomas Yaya Nimble. And we need to go to the bottom of all of these issues. That's why it will be important for us to debate on Thursday and say some of the excesses and menaces of the government and justify why the government has failed in 2 years. What I can say to you and all Liberians monitoring is that corruption has won the war. CDC versus corruption. Corruption has won the war after 2 years. Where are we going as a country? We are in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, yet we suffer from drought. Why should we even suffer, Mr. C? I don't get it. Why should Liberians suffer? Look at our population, just 4.5 million people. The country is underpopulated. Underpopulated in economics. You have underpopulation, you have overpopulation, you have optimal population. When a country is underpopulated, the resources in the country are more than the number of people. When the country is overpopulated, the resources are less than the number of people, or the people are more than the number of the resources. When there is an optimal population, the people and the resources are at an equilibrium. But Liberia is underpopulated. So here is the paradox. Your country is underpopulated, meaning you are rich in mineral resources, small in number in terms of numerical size, but you are suffering. Why are you suffering? You're almost looking like we're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. We don't have water to drink. We're suffering from drought. The only reason for that, Mr. C, is because Liberia is a victim of leadership bankruptcy and governance failure. I don't blame this alone on George Weah. I blame this also on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Charles Taylor, Doe, Todbo, Churchman, past and current leaders, the past and current governments. No difference. No integrity, no morality, no patriotism, no nationalism, no loyalty to nationhood and the people. Where are we going as a country? We are 172 years of age, but we are the fourth poorest country in the world with all of what we have. We have gold, we have diamond, we have iron ore, rubber, timber. We've just discovered bauxite. Where are we going as a country in the midst of all of these contradictions? So my only plea is for Liberians to stand up. We have tried our best to call on President Weah to change. President Weah seems adamant to change. He seems recalcitrant to change. So the only solution is for President Weah to step down. And let me say this, Mr. C, I want to be very clear. Let me be on the record for saying this. We didn't sign contract with President Weah to reach 2023. Nobody signed contract. There is no provision in the Constitution that compels President Weah to reach 2023 or end his term. No provision tied the Liberian people into an agreement with President Weah to reach 2023. No provision I challenge anybody to show me where in the Constitution that says President Weah must reach 2023 or end his tenure.
All right.
So the Liberian people at any given time have the authority in accordance with Article 1 of the 1986 Constitution to alter a government if they so desire at their will and pleasure. That's what the Constitution says. So I want to call on all Liberians. That's why I'm very, very resolved. The next protest that will be here in our country probably will be led by some of us. It will not be a Maserati-based protest or a Monrovia-based protest. It will be a nationwide protest. We'll shut down the country simultaneously and demand that Mr. Weah leaves. It will remain in the street for 1 week. That's why we are going to organize it very, very much carefully, consciously, and patriotically.
All right,
One week
Martin.
protest to demand that President Weah leaves in various political subdivisions. We shut down all the major capital cities, commercial cities.
Martin.
We shut down the country for 1 week and inform the international community that we have had enough under this clueless and extravagant footballer who has got zero knowledge in governance and leadership. Liberia must become better. And the only way Weah is the real problem, he must be gotten rid of.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. C. My pleasure.
Thank you, Martin. And from your closing statement, I got something. You asked a question, and I'm going to give you the answer. You said we are in the middle of the ocean. That's the situation we find ourselves in Liberia, that we are in the middle of the ocean, but experiencing drought. In other words, we are in the middle of the ocean, but we can't find water to drink. The answer to that, because the ocean is salted. And if you drink that salt water, maybe you will die. That is why we are in the middle of the
I
ocean.
like that.
Martin K.N.Kollie, our guest who came here to do what he does best, and he did it. Thank you. Those in cyberspace who follow us, we want to say thank you for always following our broadcast. This broadcast that you just watched will be on YouTube in the next 1 hour. That's how we do it. We create history. We preserve the history. Martin is more than preaching political righteousness. I will be here to hold him accountable on everything that he said on this platform. That is why when people make these kind of digital footprint, we document them here at Focus on Liberia, and we keep them for tomorrow. Martin, it has been a thrilling experience with you here. We appreciate you coming. Let's do this next Thursday with what? The man, Weah. Weah, I told you, does not take prisoner. That debate, be ready for it, and we will be here to have you guys go ahead. Thank you for honoring our invitation.
My honor, my pleasure. Thank you so much for the
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is how we do it. We educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia, and this is how we do it here at Focus on Liberia. This has been a broadcast from our program called The Hour of Politics. We've been answering here. No music to close, but bye-bye.